It seems to me that the skill set of BMS engineers and managers is getting watered down each next generation that comes through. Actually, it might not even be that. It could just be that in the last 20 years, we're not getting smarter in line with how complicated the BMS is getting. The BMS today is nothing like what it was 20 years ago when I was a young engineer. And I've been thinking about the professional development of BMS engineers and managers for a very long time now, talking to lots of different people, thinking about it, trying to work out how do we solve this problem. And I had a very interesting breakfast with an Asia Pacific manager a few months ago. And he said something that blew my mind and has completely changed my view on professional development and who is responsible for professional development. Let me tell you what happened, and keep watching because the outcome is not what you expected. It is really interesting. So I'm having breakfast with this guy and he's munching on his food, I'm talking away, and I'm explaining how the solution isn't just training. We can't just train the managers and train the engineers. Training on its own is not a solution or a product that is scalable. So I'm busy explaining how we could do some business-to-business consulting between me and the BMS company. We look at their processes, their fee proposals, how they do work, how do they communicate with their customers, blah, blah, blah. We take the consulting, we put together a plan, and we build into that, or after that, a training program. We train the engineers, we train the managers, and then after that, there's a longer term coaching and mentoring type service. So with a bit of coaching, a bit of consulting, and a bit of training, those three things coupled together is an end-to-end scalable solution. I'm busy explaining this, he's munching away on his bacon eggs. And I'm telling him how, like the BMS company can make lots of money, the building owners and facilities managers will be happy, the engineers will be happy, everything's great. I'm all proud of myself. And he swallows his spoon of food and looks at me and says, Bryce, that's amazing. That would definitely work. But we don't want super techs. I'm like, what? He says, if you train all of our engineers and managers into be super managers and super techs, they are either going to all want more money or they're going to leave. They're going to want more money or they're going to leave. Now, that one sentence, we don't want super techs, that took me down like a couple of months of just thinking about this. I didn't expect him to say that. And like my first thought was, when I walked out of that meeting, my first thought was just exactly what you were thinking. I was thinking, yeah, but hold on a second. If we train the engineers and managers and we pay them more money, but if they're earning you more money, everyone wins. They earn the business more money, you pay them more money, they deserve it. That's what I'm thinking. But that's just not how corporate business works. Corporate business, especially big companies, they don't work like that. They have year-on-year increased revenue targets. They have shareholders that want increased return on their dividends. And they can't afford to pay out an extra $1 million a year in wages. This is like a big company, right? They can't afford to do that. They need to make more money, need to find ways to do that, but paying all their staff a lot more money, that's not going to work for them. It just doesn't stack up for them. And the other part about they will just leave, thinking that through more carefully, what is the average time that a BMS engineer stays with the BMS company? Like, I don't know what it is, right? But let's just say, for argument's sake, for this discussion, is 5 years. Let's say the average time is 5 years. And, if you and I had a BMS company and, after 10 years or 5 years, we did a bit of a review of this and we looked at it, we thought, well, in the last 5 or 10 years, those two people, they've stayed the whole 10 years. But remember that other guy, he came for 1 year, and there's other two people that came for like 2 or 3 years. And if we worked it out that the average time was 5 years, why would you and I invest $20,000 a year in the professional development of our staff when they will just leave? They will just leave. It's not like the 1950s when you had your one job for life. You worked in a factory making toothpaste lids, and you worked there for 50 years, and your boss treated you badly, and you just stayed there. Those days are over. People don't work at the same company their whole career. If you got a 40-year working life, you're going to work for more than 5 companies in those 40 years. And if I think back at myself, actually, when I was sort of thinking more through this, in my career, on a few occasions, I've left a company that I was very happy at. There's a few occasions I really liked the company. I was earning fair money. I loved my job. I still left anyway. Once was when I went from South Africa to London, I left. I liked that company, South Africa. When I was in London, I left the company. I went to Australia. I liked that company. When I was in Australia, I moved a few times. The one time I was working for a very large building services consultancy, I was a BMS consultant. I loved that job, but I resigned to open up my own business. So if you're working for a company, even if you like the company and you're completely happy, you will still leave anyway, because you want to go learn other skills with other companies. You want to work for, Honeywell, Siemens, Schneider, Johnson's, Ellerton, EasyIO, Distech, Innertech, Delta Controls, like the list is endless. You want to go work for a building owner or a facility manager. You want to go work for a technology company. Even if you're happy in your company, you will still leave. So why should the company invest a lot of money in you when you will leave? That's interesting, right? And the next thing, which actually brings me to the point of this actual video, is this. Your employer, who you work for, they did not pay for your 12 years of schooling. Your mother paid for that. Your father paid for that. Your parents paid for your schooling. Your company, your employer, did not pay for your university degree or your college qualification. They didn't pay for that. Your parents paid for that, or you paid for that. And then you join the company and they train you on their products. The company you work for will train you and invest money in you on how to write software programs and build database and graphics, alarms and trends and integrations and things. Your BMS company, your employer, will train you on their products. Why should they invest extra money on everything else? Design, project management, other extra advanced training, energy efficiency and optimization, stuff that you're going to be building up in your career because you will leave. I've changed my view on this. Just like you, my whole career, the last 20 years since the late 90s, my view has been that the BMS company should invest in the training and professional development of their staff. I've always thought that's their responsibility. You're just the employee, right? I don't think so. They are doing their bit. Your employer trains you on their products. You join the BMS company, they train you on their products. That's them doing their bit. You have to also contribute to that. I think that you are responsible for your own professional development. I think that the times have changed. I think that you should be, in your budget, your annual budget, you allow money for rent and mortgage, paying for your car, insurances, holidays. You budget these amounts of money. You should have a budget every year for what you're going to invest in your own professional development so you can get to where you want to be in the future and not be reliant and hoping your company might take you there. You should budget money to get there. Like $1,000, something, like $1,000. Like, buy some books. I'm probably going to regret this. These two books here, these two, they cost $700. The two of them combined, $700. That's the old version of the ASHRAE 36. Some other stuff here. You need to invest in your own professional development. With your $1,000 a month budget, buy some books, go on some training courses, do bits and pieces of things. I just recently finished a $500 an hour coaching thing. I was paying somebody $500 an hour, like $6,000 on some coaching stuff. Last year, I think I did 6 months of business coaching. You need to invest in your own career. Now, before you click on a whole bunch of cat videos, just pause for a moment after this video. Just pause for a moment and think, where do you want to be in 10 years? What sort of work do you want to be doing? Do you want to be working remotely, in the office? What sort of work? Do you want your own business? What do you want to do? Think about that. You need to invest in that. Your company won't get you there. You need to get yourself there. In the YouTube description box below is a link to my newsletter. Join my monthly newsletter. It's for free. Just your call to action is to join my newsletter. I will take you on a journey, because I'm now going to transition my products to be focused at trying to support individuals rather than companies, or have a mix of the two. Because right now, most training is too expensive for an individual to pay for with their own money. I'm going to try and change that and try and work out how to get you from A to B. Join my newsletter and I will take you on that journey. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.